be off the start. So Team Queso, once you lost to E United, you haven't looked the same. I'm going to continue to say it left and right, but if you beat Oxygen tonight, in my opinion, that would be a solid win for you. But Oxygen, to me, has to be the favorite team, especially going into Reactor, even though it's not Oxygen's map pick. That slaying power is going to pay dividends on a map such as this.
Early in this one, we're gonna have a little 1v1 in the middle of the map, trying to go for that sight line. Big first shot on a big first shot out of Rocky there onto ReziK. They put him there in the front spawn position or third spawn position. They thought he might make it there before Rocky. Sleeafer needs to play up in that. Sleeafer cannot allow his teammate to go headlong into that, having a second step at it. That's one of those things that they might have tried to throw a little curveball, have Sleeafer maybe go on a flank, maybe hope to catch somebody slipping. But you basically, against a team like Oxygen, with how well Rocky's been playing, you're giving up the free first kill in the situation.
And that first kill does matter because now Oxygen, 31 points ahead. You got Team Queso trying to go for the break, not even able to get at the 1 yard line, and a great usage of the nade to take down ReziK. The torque bow also into the hands of Pushyz, and you can just see how confident Oxygen is pushing into the fight for Team Queso. Granted, bit off a little bit more than they can chew as Abolics does end up falling. Good splash damage onto one. Sleeafer slides in, takes down Pushyz, leaving Zoom to back up, but either way, the damage is done. Give up this hill, Oxygen, focus on the next. That's what they're doing.
And right now, with that top right spawn point, that top right hill, this is going to be a very important little push and pull fight. Two players from Oxygen coming and holding down the backside. They've got to be able to rotate back and help if need be. Zoom, though, actually trades out. It's a 3v3 onto the map. Rocky playing that beautiful wall cover slide. You saw how he just kind of stuck to it and kind of crab walked back and forth. People are expecting him to bounce. They're expecting him to try to use that movement. And when he doesn't come off the cover, all it does is make you second guess your shots. You miss a couple of them, and that's why he was able to stay alive for so long. Right here in the middle, though, ReziK is going to be in a 2v1 here over the torque bow. Gets rotated on by Rocky. It's another big kill for them. I mean, right now, I think Oxygen is just outperforming as a unit the team of Team Queso. Nobody from Queso has gathered up. They need to go back to their bread and butter. They got to go back to what got them here, and that's that team fire, that wolf pack mentality. Rocky right there splits the forces with a shot, gets one down, allows his teammates to clean it up. The other three have to push straight past him. They can't sit there and fight him. A second down comes through. Rocky's going to get a little hungry here for one. Gets the down, gets the second. Rocky, my God, is willing to go round after round, putting people down and down. They're going to go all the way, and if they're in the middle of the earth, that could be Goblin Town.
And brother, you know, good read on Rocky throwing out that shock like he did, allowing his teammates to get up there, get that additional chip damage, and for Rocky to push it as confidently as he did. That's representative from the first hill, brother. What I'm telling you, Oxygen was pushing into Team K. Rocky, for example, now he's pushing into potentially two players, easy movement, and he's handling his business. Oxygen is feeling confident, and you also brought up a good point a little bit earlier, Colin. You said as a whole, Oxygen is outperforming Team Queso. That's very apparent. Team fight wise, and I know you calculate this, I'm sure you've been, you making your hash marks, but anytime, or at least so far, that Team Queso has been into a team fight with Oxygen, Oxygen's won. I believe Team Queso hasn't won any of them, if I'm not mistaken.
I've got it at 3-0 right now, Taylor. Yep. 3-0. Rocky's already up to 7K damage. He's triple, almost double. He's double already next side. Next guy is 3.5 on the side of Team Queso. 3.8 now for Sleeafer. He's slowly catching up, but he doubled him up, and he's tripling up the other three players. That is a dominant performance. This is where a team has to be able to make a mid-round adjustment. Start to mark him out. Start to find Rocky and get picks on him. If he's going nuts, you got to cut the head off the snake sometimes to try to stop the snake from wiggle waggling, and that is the kill they need. They have a chance to come back into this, but I love the little 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock, or 3 o'clock, 9 o'clock angles out of Oxygen, lancering into the middle. Great pincer movement, great team fire. Sleeafer makes it into the hill, but at what cost, my man? You walked into Dollar General with $5, you didn't even get nothing to use.
And that's just embarrassing, brother. You go in there, you need to walk out with an absolute buggy full for $5. Are you kidding me? Embarrassing from Sleeafer, unfortunately. Not able to hit a shot in that moment. Granted, he was getting outgunned. There was two players from Oxygen, ended up pushing him. Team Queso, folks, is at 13 points. Oxygen at 161. And you look at the kill feed, lighting up blue. Once again, another torque bow going to the hands of Rocky. Everything going right for Oxygen. Everything going wrong for Team Queso. And unless Team Queso steps it up, I'm talking within like the next hill, next half a hill, I don't even know. This is all going to be lost because Oxygen, they've just got too much momentum, and Team Queso hasn't even started.
This is what I'm worried about. Team Queso finally starts to pull out their Lancers, start to go for some team fire, and they're down 165 to 13. A lot of the times early in this round, Queso was moving up into the fights. They were trying to go for little flanks, little cheeky angles, and they kept losing the team fights. They might give up a revive right here, and they do give up a revive. Rocky, though, with a hip-fire torque bow. Beautiful job. Cristalize has to play back, but, I mean, that's what you got nades for, baby. Those are crowd clears right there. You throw one of them suckers down, and you might as well run for the hills.
Yo, the nades have been playing such a major impact, and I love the fact that nades have kind of come back into style, made a resurgence, and I'm assuming because they're useful, especially, whenever it comes to execution, actually. Now teams are starting to line them up, get their angles correct, and Abolics just from the backside takes down Cristalize. He's going to keep going forward to find exclusive a little bit later on, but Oxygen, again, they can do no wrong. And Rocky, by the way, Colin, with that torque bow, those shots were crispy. He was connecting, and Rocky continues to play so incredibly well. We highlighted Zoom earlier on. He's sitting about 9K damage, very on par with getting at that 14K damage. Maybe he'll get there, might be a little under, but the only reason why he'd be under, let's face it, it's because Oxygen is about to win this in a total beatdown fashion.
I'm so in love with the fact that you said that his shots were crispy. You want to know the nice little Easter egg about you saying Dominic Santiago's torque bows are crispy?
What's that?
Here's to the Easter egg is you could find a toaster inside the middle of the hollow. You find the toaster, Marcus says his famous line of who wants toast, and I'll give you 3 guesses how Dominic Santiago likes his toast. He likes it crispy, baby.
I love that. See, fun facts, and that's what value you get when you got Colin on the broadcast. Who else knew about the toaster? Let us know in chat if you did. I'm sure Colin would be excited to see who else is a big of a Gears fan as he is.
Oh,
Rocky doing what Rocky does. And you're right, because now he gets a splash damage on exclusive connects. That's 2 gone. That's Team Queso out of the hill. And this one, it's going to be cleanup. Oxygen, once again, going to be dangerously close to 300. They won't win off this hill, Colin, but they're going to be, smelling it at this point, brother. They're so close.
Yes, 911, I'd like to report a crime. There's some bad men out here, and they just running these streets right now. They are running streets,
bro.
And they might be running some pockets here soon. Team Queso needs to fight back into this. Bouncing up that hallway. Exclusive, trying to find some kills. That's the worrying thing for me. Right. It is 267 to 23. Exclusive, who is normally an absolute monster and a god on the map, has only 5 kills to his name. I think somebody on Team Queso has no kills. Hold up. Wait a minute.
Who doesn't have kills?
Let me get that score. Yo, Cristalize has 12 and 5. Yo.
But he's got 5 assists, baby. Hey, he's putting in that DPS.
Hey.
He's putting in that DPS, Colin. Hey, I can't say anything good about it, brother. 0 deaths, 12 deaths, 0 eliminations, brother. Now, we can't point fingers solely at him. It's a team effort. It really is, and he's not the issue. It's just solely the issue, right? We've been talking about the team fights. Oxygen, they've been winning all of them. They're looking solid. Actually, Team Queso's made. I was about to say, I think they won that last one. We'll give it to them, and that was just off the back of ReziK just flashing a pan, making a mad dash, getting the break on the hill. So this, isn't going to be the worst loss I've seen on Reactor now. It was very well about to be if Oxygen would have closed it out 300 to 19. But Team Queso's fighting back, but I know they're still not happy with this performance. If they come back into this, it's because Oxygen just gave up and choked.
And I really think one of the things that Oxygen is going to find, though, is that Team Queso has to play such a game defensively right now that they're not going to be able to rotate to that next mid-hill, that next mid-lane fight. They're going to be able to play them into that hill long enough for one player to kind of sneak over and get it to 278, 279, so on and so forth, because they have to stay there for the rest of these 20 seconds. You can't keep giving up moments like this when you've got so little time left to play with. But with a shock, 3 more torque bows, you got a chance to play over that next hill. You see where it's going to spawn. Queso already has the mid lane advantage. This has a chance for them to be able to get shots on across this middle. Abolics is down. Torque bow shot doesn't ring out just yet. A second down on Abolics comes. You see right now Rocky looking to try to angle up into that pitch situation onto ReziK. Shock is going to fly out. It's going to cut him off from getting into the hill or even getting into the neutralization point. This is a pretty picture-perfect retake right here and settle the tea kettle of Team Queso. They're going to get this up to 130 or 140 before Oxygen can really pressure into this. But they give up that mid-sight line. They gave it up. They rotated their player out to try to take it, and what's going to happen is they're going to get absolutely washed away like a waterfall, my man.
Yeah, Abolics having that angle, taking the mid position. Team Queso lets that slip through their fingertips. And quite honestly, that DPS hurt, brother. Abolics putting in a ton of work. Rocky keeping just 2 members from Team Queso at bay. It's going to better the chances from the other Team Queso members that get close to the hill. Granted, they get a break, though, but Oxygen 5 points away. They get a couple of downs, and this is going to be the final and last stand for Team Queso. 300 to 117. Talk about a beatdown to start off day 11.
What a fantastic first map. Again, we're going to probably easily say that Rocky was the bully in that one. That man went on an absolute murder streak. There's that 15.6k damage we were probably looking for out of him. But I think the name of the game, Cristalize ends up with 14 assists. So he's got a lot of Lancer fire for his squad. Only 2 kills to his name. That's what you got to do against Queso, though. We have seen Queso bully people in those close quarter combat fights, and for a long time in that map, Oxygen basically played a box and one. They had 3 people play around Rocky, and Rocky was saying, I've got movement, I've got early shots, and if I got to push up, I ain't missing right now. That's what makes them a very dangerous squad, when they're allowed to play that type of offense where you don't put the pressure on Abolics, on Zoom, on Pushyz, and you can allow Rocky to kind of rotate around the map, play freewheeling and free dealing like he likes to.
And Rocky did exactly that. He played picture perfect. He really did. Rocky set an example and in a statement early on. And that statement was, I'm not losing to you guys. The way that he was pushing fearlessly and confidently was really impressive. I mean, it honestly was. This was just one of those pushes. Rocky, at that moment, was getting pressured by Team Queso. In mid, he throws a shock down, alleviates that pressure, gets help with the Lancer fire because he's not going to do it by himself. And Rocky didn't do everything by himself. I am very impressed with the teamwork from Oxygen. I truthfully am. But another thing to mention is Rocky's torque bows. They were crispy, as you like that little Easter egg chat, by the way. A lot of them knew about it, baby. Hey, you got a lot of Gears fans out there. You love to see it. But every highlight is basically Rocky. But give a highlight to, Abolics, to Zoom, to Pushyz. All of them having their moment. The DPS is a great representation of that. And we talked about Zoom early on. Don't know if he got to the 14K mark, but I know he was close because he was once again putting in tremendous work. Team Queso, a sluggish start that could have went a lot better. And honestly, I expected a lot better from them.
We're going to get a lot better here momentarily. I think that Team Queso has proven time and time again they are a better execution team than a control team. When they won last night, they had to go on a 4-round rerun on that map number 3 Escalation to just get it to that map number 4. They end up losing that, going down 2-2. They were down, or they tied it back up 2-2. So Team Queso won an execution, won an escalation by bringing it back 4 straight rounds, and then had to take it to a round 11 execution. They are a definitively better execution team, so they've got to win this next map here. If they don't win this execution, it ain't looking great for them in this series against Oxygen, if you ask me.
I agree. Vasgar, you already said kind of, the hiccups we can have for Team Queso heading into Vascar Escalation. I favor Oxygen in Escalation in general in this matchup because Oxygen was competing and has competed even during the Escalation days with at least a core 3 from this roster. Zoom was kind of the guy who, came in at the, all 4 of them competed in Escalation. And then this 4 stack stayed in the last phase 1, when we introduced control and execution. So I apologize. This roster's been playing together quite well for a long time. And when it comes to Escalation, I just got to benefit them. I really do. So at this point, they've got to step it up. Sleeafer is the guy that I'm looking out for, at least first bloods, executions, kill-wise. Sleeafer's the guy that's been putting in a ton of that work, at least statistically from what I'm seeing. You mentioned ReziK early on. Who else could we be looking out for?
Exclusive and Sleeafer, they're going to have to take over that mid-bridge control. I don't see Team Queso trying to throw out a lot of torque bow strategies. They have some good torque bow players, but we saw last round, and we've seen time and time again on Canals, it takes Herculean efforts to win the torque bow and then continue to win that round.
Sure.
That mid-bridge, if you can control it, control the angles, control the lanes, it's very hard for teams to play back into that mid lane and play for those 3 mid lane hills that you have to try to cap up in that overtime. One thing I do want to say, Taylor, because I got to ask you, might sound obvious, but I heard you say a moment ago that this team of Oxygen has played together for quite some time now, and they seem to have really started to ascend themselves into the top tier of our talent leadership in the entire pro league.
Right.
So you mean to tell me them teams that change up every single week ain't got nowhere to go but, neutral? Is that what you're telling me? You telling me the teams stick it out? I mean, got to make a marriage work, right, baby? Got to make a marriage work.
You know what? I've always been just driving the narrative home. Stay together. Got to make a marriage work. You stay together. That's just how it is, right? But it doesn't always work, though, sometimes. Staying together might not be the best. Pittsburgh Knights is a good example of that. That 4-stack has been together for quite some time, but they haven't performed well, not only last phase, but this phase too. Okay, you can maybe even make that argument with E United. I know that's a dangerous one to make with how everybody wants to say things, but they have been, struggling a little bit as of recently. Pittsburgh Knights, they do get that victory, but again, PK's had their struggles. But one big change that took place, that had to take place, was when Friend made the exit. Okay, we've seen a big increase with the team of Rise, and they obviously got second place in MSP.
What are you trying to say?
All I'm saying, Colin, hey, sometimes you do make the changes and it works out for the best. That's all I'm saying.
If we invoke the name of franchise, it's followed up only by Hall of Fame, GOAT, and maybe best to ever.
I didn't even say anything bad about Fred. I'm just giving an example.
That's the only thing you're allowed to say. That's the only
giving an example of a team change.
That's all I'm saying, baby.
That worked well. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, I'm giving you an example of what you can say if you invoke that name, baby. If you invoke that name, I'm giving you an example of what you can say.
Hey, look, you can't deny Detox.
I get real defensive over that.
But Detox was a phenomenal addition. Again, that's not a dig at Fred. Okay, you want to make more examples? I don't even know. Right. Can I make more examples at this point?
You can.
Okay. One example where it doesn't work well. Rebel, okay? Rebel, just kind of throws it all away in the dumpster at this point. With Demon exiting. Did they want to make the roster change? Obviously not. But hey, sticking together, though, is the best policy. Like, bottom line, period. If you
I can give you a couple of other examples throughout history of teams that thought they were making the correct change, and it ends up coming back to bite them in the butt. I mean, you look at a lot of the teams that one of the guys that I always preach was one of the best leaders at his point in time, Demo Bounce. He changed up his squad around him a lot in Gears 4, and it never got back to that successful run that he had in London. I think one of the more underrated changes that we saw that I thought paid off early and maybe started to come back to haunt him later was when that Envious squad went over to Echo Fox and they basically replaced Toy Soldier with Kyle, and it was Solar's praised Fran, Kyle, and Powers. Jesus. Words. Rosters.
Hey, bro, you're bringing up history, though. You're naming off names. Sometimes a name or two will slip away from you. Speaking of slipping away, exclusive First Blood, he's gone. Great start, obviously, for Oxygen. Sleeper's like, I just got to get out of here, brother. But he's getting lanced from the back. He's getting lanced from underneath. And a quick round going over to the way of Oxygen, who did a great job getting that mid-bridge control. Obviously, losing that teammate off the rip definitely hurt, man. But those stuns, sometimes it's a 50-50, brother, of who's going to be unstunned first. And in this case, well, clearly Oxygen was.
Well, I think one of the things that Oxygen did better is they threw a tertiary stun. We normally only see 2 splash grenades go out on that front side of the bridge. Oxygen actually threw 3 of their 4 utilities at front bridge. I mean, it was going to be 2023 before Exclusive took his hand away from his face. Oh, look at this. This is a little torque push trap. This is the first time we're going to see it. Bounces the first nade off, trying to get some downs, but to see how Team Queso pressed through, they're used to teams going for that little bank shot grenade over the top of the bridge to try to get those easy kills. They call it out. They actually throw it down and get across the bottom of the bridge and don't get killed off. It's a 3v2 now. ReziK is trying to bounce around. 2 big shots right there. One more shot could win this and make it a 2v2. That's what I'm talking about. Those are the kind of clutch plays out of ReziK that I'm used to seeing, my man.
Love to see it. 2v2 now. It was a 4v2. Oxygen, they let that manpower slip away. It was Sleeafer having the torque bow and also knowing where Pushyz is at. It's going to be in a great form, or at least a good portion for him to be at. Baits out Pushyz. He gets away without even getting down. Now Oxygen is able to reset the fight, but for how long? Still 3 more bolts remain, and Sleeafer is on the hunt, trying to get Rocky on that off angle, but now they've split themselves up, and it is in fact going to be a 1v1 on opposite ends of the map. This could be a mistake. Granted, Sleeafer is going to be joined by ReziK. Pushyz now is by himself in a 1v2. He's got top control. 1 more bolt remains from Sleeafer, and again, he's going to try and just get this angle if possible, but goes for a waste, and it's not going to work out, but now Team Queso is going to utilize their numbers. Pushyz can still do this. He's done this in the past, but this time won't be able to, and Team Queso slips the rug from under the feet of Oxygen, who had the 4v2 potential, and then they let that go to waste.
They did let it go to waste. Again, it's not really a go to waste. At the end of the day, ReziK had to make a play. He was stouted up. Excuse me. He was stouted up in the backside of that mid-back connector bridge. And I really do believe that if he makes plays like that, he makes Team Queso damn near impossible to beat. Here comes Rocky around the corner. Let's see if they get these stuns out. This time they throw one kind of short, and Team Queso, yet again, they're going to try to adjust here for the torque bow strategy. One nade's going to bounce off of that. Little bank shot nade comes out. Beautiful first shot there, though, by Rocky to keep a player off kilter. Sleeafer caught on this other side now. Here comes the flank by Abolics, and the opposite of what happened last round is now going to the wayside. ReziK doesn't have a chance to take that 1v on the top side of the back connector. He has to push it to 2 players. I think it was so much better done because Oxygen expected the push to the torque bow. They sent 2 players down there, both with Lancers out. They were going to hold that bottom middle bridge. They push Rocky up onto the pillar, get him to pull his shotty. Nobody can go anywhere. Nobody can do anything. Trapped like rats, my man, and there wasn't no cheese on the other side of that thing.
Unfortunately, right, at that point, it didn't clearly spend money correctly at Dollar General. That's all I'm saying. Now, do you buy your cheese at Dollar General? I'm not judging. Some people do. Regardless, though, Oxygen does have the 2-1 lead. And one thing to say, Colin, is the fact we've had 3 rounds, and Oxygen is the only team with first bloods at this point. Team Queso has yet to get a first blood up until now, of course, as I'm starting to point out in comments.
Why are you doing stuff?
ReziK takes I know. We literally cast a curse everything, brother. ReziK opens it wide open, and he gets taken out after. Now it's a 3v2.
So once again, this is all right. Here's the thing. This is what I'm worried about. I'm gonna let this round finish before I say it. 3v1 here, top middle bridge. It's gonna be a 3v1 over against the final player of Rocky. He's got the torque bow playing right up against him. There's no way that player is close enough. I think they saw the movement onto Rocky. Rocky now has the sight line. Good first shot onto exclusive. This is the shot over the cover. Almost gets the brick in the down. Doesn't get it. Gets hopped and dropped. Beautiful little kick there to get the stun off. They need to have an answer in back-to-back rounds. And by that, I mean Queso does. Because Queso has shown 2 different looks for torque bow strategies. The first time they tried it back-to-back, it got the answer by Oxygen. They played back. They lancered out. They got the kills. They won the round. They show a different look by putting ReziK in the fight. They put all their chips in the torque bow basket. Now, same concept. Does Oxygen play the fight better, or do they have an answer for the torque? And what they did is they're going to get the information that they're not playing the same way, and there it is. Queso takes advantage. Those are the things that will win you execution matchups. If you can take advantage of an opponent not understanding your next play call, that's what's going to continuously win you rounds and maps of execution.
Yeah, well said. Oxygen pumped the brakes completely. Dead stop. Team Queso takes full advantage. Get the torque bow. They get the frags. There was nothing Oxygen could do. You mentioned back-to-back rounds. Team Queso able to do that in rounds 4 and 5. They lead now 3-2. And you know what? Just based off that last round, Oxygen might be in trouble. Like you said, they're not reading Team Queso well enough because Team Queso is throwing out different looks. But now Team Queso has to figure out, what do we do? We just showed a look to Oxygen where we attacked mid-bridge. Do we do it 2 rounds in a row? Do we go back to the mid-under-bridge pressure for the torque bow and just pressure straight into Oxygen? The decision is going to be made very soon. And the way that exclusive is moving, I guess he's going for mid. No, he's not. Might go under-bridge. No one goes mid-bridge. What a wild start.
It's a stand-up right now. It's in a kind of a stalemate. I like the positioning for Pushyz, though. 2 big shots onto exclusive. Maybe a couple of more pellets will get the down on him. They finally converted, but it's a 3v3. ReziK has the torque bow in hand. Zoom is down, as well as exclusive. Torque bow can find a quick pick, and it gives him a chance to get a kill. But right there, Abolics, great shots onto Sleeafer. Gets the finish because ReziK, he's always kind of mindful of that. You saw how Abolics kept his head down for a second. He said, I am not going to allow for that torque bow to pick me and for this player maybe to get rezzed. He stays down a little bit longer. Make sure he solidifies that kill. 3v2. ReziK has to be able to find at least 1 pick with the torque. It is now incumbent upon him to get a pick.
Gonna be a bit of standoff though, and I gotta say where ReziK and Cristalize are currently at, I don't see too many teams have success or find success from this position. More often than not, they do lose. You mentioned a torque bow though with ReziK. I agree. Cristalize has this shock, but
He uses
clear
the
out
shock
the left
to try
corner.
to call out.
You're right.
Yeah, that's a waste. I understand that you don't want to get snuck right there, but you've got movement, man. You can check that corner without getting bricked and without getting lancered down, really, and then you put yourself in a bad situation with that.
Good
Pushyz.
frag.
Oh, I thought that was going to get both.
I thought it was too, but at least it gets the splash damage, repositions them when they're gone. So getting both or not still gets both in the end, and that's going to be a great response from Oxygen. After a standoff, once again, nobody challenges mid-bridge. In fact, the only players that do go mid-bridge, I think Oxygen had one that kind of wrapped around and went up top. The other one went upstairs from Team Queso. They ended up headbutting and meeting. That player ended up dying from Team Queso. But both teams kind of just really didn't want to make that push, even though we do see Sleeafer off the rip. He had the utility in hand. I thought he was going to fully commit to it, but he didn't. Let's see how this round ends up flowing. Once again, we're going to have that big headbutt. Looks like Exclusive or Sleeafer's going to be the first one up here, I think.
That's too good. That was too good a Lancer. There's nothing Sleeafer could have done in that situation to help his teammate out. Cristalize then has to come up now to help Sleeafer. That's 3 quick down and deaths. One time for one time, everybody in chat, I need you to type out I space LOVE space J_RIBS, because that man having it on Rocky right there got us to witness what it's like to have a teammate have picture perfect accuracy with a Lancer, get somebody to be one shot, and then force the rest of his teammates into a terrible situation. That is classic support player execution, and it allows his team to get a full round under their belts with not a single death and make everybody on Queso look a little silly for 45 seconds.
Oh, this time Abolics is going to be leading the charge, forced back. Team Queso takes mid-bridge. Oxygen needs to be careful here, but maybe Team Queso more. Great nade, though, or excuse me, great elimination from Sleeafer onto Abolics. Players dying left and right. Brought down to a 2v3. Oxygen, they've got the man advantage. ReziK and Sleeafer just ReziK, excuse me, an Exclusive just trying to get in cover, but they've got literally a kayak to hide behind. ReziK needs to get away with this torque bow, and again, he's going to be the X factor. This time, though, as opposed to last time we were talking about him with the torque, he only has to take down one member to even up, or at least get the odds back into the favor of Team Queso. Before it was a 3v2. Let's see how this plays out.
You said he was hiding behind a canoe, and I thought for a second they might have been up a creek without a paddle for a moment. I said, oh no, this could be bad for him. But they got away. They skedaddled like their name was prattled out from behind the back of that. They pick up the extra flash. I love that from Rocky. That's almost like a bait flash, because now they might think that he has no utility to throw back. He's going to stuck behind that shock. Great job by Exclusive. That's what they call a herding shock. He throws it behind him. Not H-U-R-T, H-E-R-D. He throws it behind him, herds him straight into his shotgun. That is beautiful work. That's next level play. That's high IQ. That's a round that Queso has to win to tie it back up 4-4. And oh, by the way, baby, we now got ourselves a best of 3.
You love to see it. This is going to be phenomenal to watch as for Team Queso, they fight back. If they win this again, they're going to be okay. We understand the struggles they might have on Vascar Escalation. I favor Oxygen there. So this is, in my opinion, a must-win from Team Queso to at least guarantee a longer series, because that next one, this next map, Vascar Escalation, will not be a guarantee whatsoever. Once again, a bit of a standoff. 7 Pushyz, though, looking to make some moves, Colin, and maybe get on a flank, but he's been spotted and he's isolated by himself now in a potentially 1v1, maybe even a 1v2, but now, no, it's just going to be a 1v.
He gets tagged up by Cristalize, but what he's doing by pushing up that far, he's taking Cristalize's cross out of the map. Cristalize, not a lot of kills, but a ton of assists. You take that cross out. Oh, beautiful frags. Beautiful frags.
Oh, it gets one.
Oh my God, gets one, gets the down. That's 2 down and dead. And Oxygen's well on their way to a 5-4 lead in this. The last 2 players alive have to play up on this back side of the bridge, this back connector position. ReziK is going to throw his flash, try to get a stun, and maybe a big brick out. Doesn't hit the second shot. Beautiful double shot down, though, by Cristalize onto Rocky. And now they have to play out. You can't give up another kill in this situation. And Cristalize ain't playing.
No.
My man went for the absolute flash and dash play. Gets a lot of shots on. Now it's a 2v2. Cristalize goes down. ReziK might try to go for that revive. Won't be able to get down there in time to save his teammate. Tries to hop the cover, but that's never what you want to see in that position. Again, I have to highlight it. When you roll across the map, if you're Pushyz, and you take Cristalize out of that position, he cannot cross anybody, getting the extra angle on Sleeafer. You see Sleeafer go down in that spot. They have to go for the revive, which opens up the double fragmentation grenade in his direction. It's little plays like that. We've seen him a couple of rounds in a row. The hurting shot grenade, the extra Lancer off the initial, and now the over rotation to take a player out of position to cross for his teammates. Beautiful job. This is high level execution.
It's going to be a big round for Team Queso, naturally, to stay alive. But if they go to round 11, you got to kind of benefit them. At least I do. But Rocky opens it up wide. Sleefer's down. Another one's going to fall. That's Cristalize. ReziK down. It's over, ladies and gentlemen. Exclusive will fall too. And Oxygen will take map number 2 to lead 2-0 in this series after they win Canals execution 6-4. And things go from bad to worse for Team Queso. Vascar Escalation is coming up next. One that might be a very difficult road for Team Queso to travel on. Of course, the story will unfold. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're moving into map 3 Escalation on Vasgar. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the day 11 of the Gears Pro League. I'm Taylor Flexions Noble, joined by Colin the Crow Clark. And like I said on the exit, things go from bad to worse for Team Queso. They lose Execution Canals 6-4. They've already lost Reactor control 300 to 117. And that means we're moving into map number 3, Escalation. It's going to be on Vascar. Last time Team Queso lost 5-0 versus Vanquish. Granted, for Oxygen, they lost 5-2 against Pittsburgh Knights. Pick your poison. We'll talk about which one's worth and which one stands out. But regardless, though, breaking down Canals, what went wrong for Team Queso?
I think what went wrong is that Queso threw a couple of different varying strategies in there, but they were never able to win consecutive rounds, really. They never really showed dominant performances throughout the mid-game. When it broke back down to basically having a shotgun or having a little bit better utility usage in the middle of the map, that went the way of Oxygen. You saw it. Team Queso, they throw a wrench into the wheel. They say, we're going to throw out this strategy for the torque bow. They do the same thing in back-to-back rounds, win one, lose one. They throw out another strategy to try to tie it up. It works. The round after, win one, lose one, and it's tied back up. That was 4-4 in a best of 3 at one point. And then we saw it, of course, Oxygen, picture perfect Lancer. Team Queso went back to the well going to mid-bridge. They have a player drop. They get hopped. And then next thing you know, it's 5-4. And then final round, I mean, Oxygen just made it look easy. It was like they frustrated the players from Team Queso. That's the thing that they got to work on going forward. If you're going to have that many variations of strategies, you've got to have what you call basically a second punch, a little combo punch to it. It's a 1-2. It's not just a 1 at that point. You got to have the 1, the extra step, and the 2. You can't just have the straight jab. You got to find a hook or an uppercut come sooner or later in execution.
You know, that was really the map I wanted to see Team Queso win. And quite honestly, they needed to win again. Now, going back into the main topic, Vascar Escalation. I mentioned that 5-0 victory for Vanquish over the boys of Team Queso, but they've been flawless. They've been, I mean, seriously, they are literally looking like the best team in our league. Aside from Rise, Rise is in first place, but I still think Vanquish might be the best team. Bottom line, period, in my opinion. We'll see, though, when that matchup comes up. But do you take more weight to the 5-0 beatdown Team Queso suffered versus Vanquish, or the 5-2 loss that Oxygen suffered against Pittsburgh Knights?
I put probably more stock in that Pittsburgh Knights loss because the Pittsburgh Knights have been so hot and cold, so up and down, that you can catch heat against them and beat the Pittsburgh Knights. You go up against Vanquish, you're getting the same Vanquish, whether it's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. You're going to get the same Vanquish if it's December, January, February, October. I mean, it doesn't matter what month, what day, what year.
Yeah.
Those 4 dudes are going to come out of spawn, and they're going to try to beat you up. So at that point, I look at Queso and like, hey, man, you just ran into a team that was just going to beat you up that night. It was just going to happen like that. Oxygen, they have to play probably the best possible version of the Pittsburgh Knights we've seen thus far in this split, and they lose. So I put a little bit more stock in that because that tells me that Oxygen's still able to bang out with the best of them a little bit better than Queso has been.
Fair enough. So you're taking the opposite, and it's a positive thing that they went 5-2 as a. Okay, so fair. I thought you were going the negative way, but you justified it.
They both got beat up, man. I mean, you got to find a positive, right?
Bottom line, they both got beat up, bro. Like 5-2.
It's one of those situations where you're like, you should have seen the other guy. You should have seen, like, your friends are never going to see him, but you're just saying you should have seen him, all right?
That's a fact, bro. That it's like looking at a Louis Vuitton bag and then looking at a counterfeit Louis Vuitton bag that was made by a 6-year-old. Okay, there's just no comparison. They're both representing Louis V, you know, but hey, they're both not the same. And in this case, 5-2, 5-0, you take your pick. Both are still a beatdown, bottom line, period. And Oxygen starting off fairly well. We had the 2-2 split, and both fights in those 2-2s go to the way of Oxygen. Player 6 is now forced to run away. That's going to be Cristalize by himself. Meanwhile, Oxygen, they're looking to close down, lock this up into a domination. Unless maybe Cristalize can get a touch. I don't know if he can get a finish. Either way, on the other end, I think they're going to be okay. Team Queso will get the touch, but for how long?
They get another
One player already down. It's a 2v2.
Oh, good little double kill there, though. They both take special 1v1s. They win them both. Sleeper and Exclusive both win a 1v1 on their side of the map. They get their home hill back. B hill still heavily controlled by the side of Oxygen. They've got Rocky over there. He's going to try to play one-man army for as long as he can. I think you got to get somebody over into the area to help him out. I don't like the pullback here from Pushyz. Pushyz needed to be decisive. He's going to come through the middle of the map, but it's almost a little too long. Thankfully, a third player's already there to help cross out and force them into the middle of this pincer movement. Pushyz could have taken too long, and that 2v2 could have been a 2v1 much quicker rather than later, which would have given an opening to Team Queso. Thankfully, though, they had a third player rotate over. They continue to solidify the 2-1 hill advantage. Queso, they're going to try to push up toward A. The rotations right now from Oxygen are crispy clean. I mean, they looking like you got Bleach, Mr. Clean's Magic Eraser, you got a Tide Pod in there. I mean, they just put the whole friggin' factory into the washing machine with the way they're able to rotate and help each other out right now.
Man, they really are. You know, Oxygen, I think, as a whole, has just been crispy clean today. I mean, their Reactor, the way they played that, the way Rocky was playing was just so nice. Rocky's been playing so incredibly well tonight. Abolics doubles back to go for the second victim from Team Queso. He's putting up one hell of a fight. Crystallizes forward, and he doubles back to get the finish. That's impressive because let's talk about it, right? Abolics not only takes down one, but fights off Crystallize long enough to where Crystallize doesn't feel comfortable to stop and get the finish on the Pushyz, who was down, right? So at that point, hey, he doubles back, gets the team pickup, and Oxygen still in the winning spot that they haven't given up since the very start.
ReziK has a good Lancer right there, but he's going to have to put his head back down. Pushyz has a great little option to shoot either one of those players. You see them trying to fly off over to the A hill. They got to get a triple neutralization all at one time. Nobody's on the hills in time. That's going to be the first round over to Oxygen. Those are the rounds that are demoralizing and defeating. They serve two different purposes. There was really no chance for Team Queso to come back into that matchup. They never had a leg up. They never had a window even cracked for them to try to slide through to get back into the house. Oxygen, to me, dominated that round from jump all the way until the final bell and whistle. I mean, that was just a great performance by them. And I can't say it enough. Those are the rounds that will frustrate a team. It'll make them make mistakes going down the line.
I think at this point, Team Queso's already frustrated. Again, losing control the way they lost it, that was their map pick. Then you lose execution, which is, you know, arguably your best game mode that you can play. Now you're in Vasgar control. You know, the last time you played this, you lost 5-0. You're going into it once again against another talented team. You're already down 2-0 in the series, and you lose round one in the way you lose it. Yeah, absolutely. Team Queso's feeling the pressure, and I would be upset if I was one of their players, but you can't really dwell on that as a competitor, can you? If you're a professional, you got to let that go and just come back and play your A game. Same start as in round one, but this time we got the torque bow to fight for. And it's funny, in phase 2 of split 3, excuse me, we've been seeing a lot more torque bow on this side. It seems to be gaining popularity and gaining traction, but it's all for naught if you don't win it, if you're the team that placed it.
I really like what I saw on the opposite side of the map. Oxygen got enough shots onto the two players from Team Queso that they didn't feel safe going for that early cap up. There's no utility grenades except for your stuns and your smokes to try to use right now. You're going to have to get a picture-perfect stop right here. Flash over the top. Abolics gets enough damage on. It allows Pushyz to basically roll up into his house. I mean, he got in the driveway. He wasn't even knocking on the door. He was just honking like it was GTA 3 waiting to pick somebody up outside. He said, boy, you better get out here. You better get out here right now.
This might be a domination unless player 8 can get there, but he's getting lancered from the back. 7 will get a touch, so fair enough. The round will continue, and that gives enough time for player 8 to get a touch as well. Granted, Team Queso still hasn't won a fight yet off the start, and that torque bow is going to hurt. 2 more shots remaining. Player 3 needs to get the Charlie. That's exactly what he's going to do, and he's going to be able to call out player 8, who's coming on the flank. That's exclusive, so at this point, a domination can very well still be in the woodworks, depending on how this Charlie fight goes, but I got to give it to Team Queso. They're fighting tooth and nail to stay alive, but it doesn't look like for much longer, Colin. 5 is going to be their last hope, last stand. He's going to get stuck. He's gone. Domination going to the way of Oxygen. They lead 2-0.
You're going to need a lot more than tooth and nail. You're going to need some bone marrow, maybe some hair, a couple eyeballs, maybe even some toes, man. You got to go 10 toes down, throw all that other stuff in there.
10 toes down, baby.
Hey, look, you said they were fighting tooth and nail. I'm just telling you. If they fight tooth and nail down 2-0 in the fashion that they've been losing these 2 rounds, they got to find something else to fight with at this point. It got to be hands or something. Maybe some knees.
An orbital nuke? I don't know, brother, at this point. Look. And I hate to talk like that when we're watching a team. I really do. But Team Queso, again, look at where they started, Colin. They started the Pro League and essentially in first place within the first couple of weeks. They looked amazing. They looked incredible. And let's not forget how they got here. Due to a competitive ruling, Spy was removed. Now we saw Spanglish enter. They turned into Team Queso. And this is the roster. And they were making good on it. But after they lost to E United, like I said, I want to continue to say it. They haven't looked the same. And this might be one of the, I mean, not the worst loss. E United already gave them that, but this could be one of the second worst losses that they have suffered. And you even looked at how well they played last night, granted against Noble, but come on, this is not what I expected. I thought this series was going to be a lot closer. It can still be that way, but Team Queso, I need more.
They're going to need more out of them, and they're going to have to start showing it right here, right now. Cristalize trying to get their shots over the top of that stairwell, trying to get a kill in this situation. Boltok in hand gets a big body shot there on a Rocky, but misses the other 3, and that is not what you need to have happen. 2-1 hill advantage in favor of Oxygen, and they had actually pushed Cristalize to the wrong side of that hill. If you'd have come out of spawn, somebody would have been able to shoot him from behind, even if they'd have gotten deaths off. Over on the opposite side of the map, Abolics over here, along with Pushyz, are putting a hurting on people. Retro in hand of Abolics, just putting out massive amounts of damage. Rocky rolls up on one, gets that quick kill. Are they hitting Cristalize from the... They are. They're hitting Cristalize from that elevated hill position. Rocky was able to tag him up just a little bit, which is going to help them solidify this triple cap domination. If it comes through right here, it's because there was no other hope for them to go over to B. They didn't even get a chance to take that 1B. That is a mob fight right there, baby. And they get that win in scintillating, sensational fashion. That's a minute 26. They're up 3-0, and they're 2 rounds away from making his first matchup of the night look like it was just an appetizer.
So I think round 1 ended in a way of 250, if I'm not mistaken. Oxygen just kind of dominated that through and through. And then 2 and 3 goes into the way of domination itself in very, very quick fashion. Team Queso throws out a curveball, or at least they think so, throwing the torque bow up top. It doesn't change anything. I mean, really, it quite honestly doesn't. In fact, Team Queso doesn't even change their playstyle. They don't even commit 3 strong up top to secure the torque bow. They're still going with the 2v2 split. I think that's very telling, Colin, because again, Team Queso's been losing the start and losing the initial consistently, and that's because they break up 2-2. And at this point, player 8 doesn't even come out of spawn. It takes forever to get there. Or was he stopping? Excuse me. I'm getting too wild. He stopped to pick up the retro. I apologize. Either way, Team Queso now in a 2v3. They did try to commit that third person over, but will it pay dividends? Let's find out. Rocky, great connection on exclusive. Nice shot onto ReziK. Rocky continues to play so well, but ReziK runs right through him, and finally Team Queso wins an initial and the torque bow.
They did a fantastic job, in my opinion, playing that over the top. They had the elevation to help them out to get that torque bow solidified in the hands of ReziK, and now Zoom tries to pull up in the 1v1. Doesn't get that to go because the extra Lancer fire across the 90-degree angle will get the kill. They're fighting back in this round, and Queso has a chance to get some kills. Oh, is Zoom going to get picked? Oh, he missed it. Oh no. ReziK. Oh, okay. Oh, all right. Oh, all right, Dan.
Okay.
All right, Dan.
All right, player 2, Pushyz, has slipped through, Colin. Cristalize will spot him. He'll double back to join that of Sleeafer. Player 2, he knows if I try to get this decap, I'm going to get Lancered out. There's no value in it at this point. I've got to wait for somebody, or at least try to force this fight in a educated way. Doubles back. ReziK goes for the connection. Misses. Pushyz is gone, though, however. Rocky goes for the team pickup. They're still not going to be in a good spot. They're getting Lancered like crazy, and ReziK connects onto the head of Pushyz. And who else is caught in that corner? My goodness, Rocky, yeah. Great job from team. This is the teamwork we should have seen a long time ago. Abolics looking to pop off, though. One more shot on the Sleeafer, one more shot on Abolics. They're both gone, but they go for the reset. And Zoom wins the fight on the tank. As Oxygen is flying back into this round, and it's going to threaten Mr. Krabs.
They're going to try to threaten this Mr. Krabs late into this round. You're going to see it looks like Abolics, though, has to worry about 2 players coming off that respawn to try to shoot him in the backside. The longer this stays decapped, they're fighting back into this round, and that's kind of what their mission objective is at this situation. If they can get this to be decapped long enough, they might be able to get the win condition to flip over to them. But the downs coming through right now might be too much for them to fight back against. You see him try to pull off of that cover. They still have the angle onto Abolics. Abolics one shot now in that cubby corner. Rocky has to pull up here and try his best to get a shot on, but they get the double shot down, get the kill. They're going to continue to push forward over to the A hill. It's a 1v1 at B, and it looks like Oxygen can actually play that a little defensively. Zoom doesn't have to really take this fight necessarily. Can just continue to play out, wins it because he's able to force Sleeper to play into his hands, and that is a retake and a triple cap domination by Oxygen. 2.5 minutes, 1 round away. Hoo-hoo, baby.
And that was the best look we got from Team Queso yet, and they still lose the round, unfortunately. So at this point, looking to go back-to-back times on Vascar Escalation in the way of losing 5-0. The first one, obviously, to Vanquish. This time around, might be to the way of Oxygen. And Abolics, business as usual. He's just going to go ahead and place down his Boltok, right? Keep building up those sideline utility items. Why not? Team Queso's already behind because of the Torque Bow. I don't know, play something at tank maybe? Play something center line. Get crazy with the Team Queso because something's got to change. Something's got to give. And they're going to go with the long shot. So long shot and torque bow both on the map. Unfortunately for the long shot placement, I mean, it's right for the picking for the boys on Oxygen.
Well, what they need to be careful of is Oxygen has Oxygen has that elevation in this E hill, and we've seen last round, the first real round that Queso was able to, Queso was able to fight back into this, was they were able to get those. Hey, yo, Abolics, man, I'm trying to break down a play from last round. You just going to interrupt me by throwing an incendiary at somebody's face like that?
He doesn't have time for that. He doesn't have time for storylines. Okay, look, he's like, I'm getting this done with in the way of 5-0, baby. I'm closing this out, and that's exactly, oh, Rocky, pop off, baby. Yes, sir, you love to see it. Exclusive Cristalize down. Another domination attempt coming through, and you give it to him. That's going to be a 5-0 victory. Oxygen, 3-0 victory over Team Queso, and they made it look easy. Made it look easy indeed, and I really think one of the things that people can't underestimate is that Oxygen, when they've struggled against those top tier teams. They've struggled against the guys that are sitting on top of the mountain, but they're still putting up those really incredible fights. I want to see Oxygen be able to translate this in the major now. I don't want to see him be that dark horse team that maybe falls early but has a chance to bracket bust. I need them to ascend and become the bracket buster that nobody's going to be able to deny in that next major. I don't think we called them the bracket buster team. They're an MSP. I think they can be that here as well. I'm loving what I'm seeing. I really am. Things are looking solid overall for the boys of Oxygen. They continue to dominate and they continue to slay out. Hey, Team Queso, you got to step it up. You haven't looked the same since you lost to E United. I need to see a little bit more from you guys. And I know you can bring that fuego to the forefront. I really do. Noble and Rebel are going on in side station though, and I just want to point out, by the way, Rebel does lead 2-1 over Noble, but Noble continues to fight back, brother. They're looking good. They are going to continue to fight back. They're a team that doesn't like to lose whatsoever. So Noble and Rebel is going to be taking place over on the side station. But right now, let's take a look at some of these highlights. And this should go back and forth a little bit, but mainly even because of the 5-0, it's going to be Oxygen. And I think really the MVP, I don't want to say I was dead wrong. I really thought ReziK was going to have a standout performance, and he did have a lot of clutch moments for his squad. But Rocky must have heard that. He must have said, you must have forgot. You must have forgot who I was and forgot my name, because you had to say it a whole hell of a lot for the next 90 minutes. I don't think anybody forgot who Rocky was. If you did, you're crazy. Rocky played this series so smoothly. I mean, on it, crispy. That was the word I used. And crispy is the word to use. He played so very well. Oxygen ends up winning pretty much all of their team fights. I mean, bottom line, period. And things did get a little bit weird for them on Canals, I admit. But 6-4, still an impressive victory. You mentioned that final round that they won, that round number 10. Look, they won that pretty easily, pretty quickly.